Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Jacob, and welcome back to some more Geometry Dash. Today is not going to be a level, but rather, I'm going to call this level tutorial. This is going to be a level, if you read the title, of a possible new episode 1 for a series requested by a few friends. This is basically like a creator and using the editor series, and it goes from pretty basic stuff to just anything, really. Alright, endorphins. So the first thing we're going to do, it's going to be pretty straightforward. That's really all I have to say for the intro. This episode, if you read the title, is moving objects. Nothing super advanced yet, although as the series progresses, maybe 6 or 7 episodes from now, there will be a little bit more advanced stuff with this. This will go over the very basics of moving objects and just, and I'll show you a couple of cool tricks as well. I really don't know what song I want to use here. I have a lot. Holography, I love this. I think this... Okay, yeah. Alright, stop playing. I can't see my X. It's covered by my face, dear lord. I'm, like, randomly clicking. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually, like, kind of lower. I prefer darker backgrounds, and that background was ugly, so I'm just going to lower everything by a little bit. And then, alright, we are ready to build the level. So the song, just so I don't get, like, copyrighted, is Holography by Garligan. That took me a minute to read. Dear lord, brain, work faster. And, I don't know if he has a YouTube channel or anything, but all song rights go to him. And now that that's out of the way, we're gonna get on with this. So, pretty much anything can be moved, with the exception of triggers themselves. Because believe me, I tried experimenting around if I could, like, move triggers in different ways. But, anyways, this is the move trigger, what we're gonna use to move. That's pretty straightforward right there. And I'm going to go through, and before I actually show you how to work, like how to move the block, I'm going to like go through all of this. Because if you open this up and are brand new, you might have an idea like with the move X and move Y, but there are a couple of things you got to get down. And actually, before I do that, I should probably place down a block. So as I said, anything in here, jump rings, clear blocks, slopes, etc. Anything, even 3D, these things, decoration, whatever you want can be moved. So for right now, we're going to use a standard, let's do a 3-block tower. And now, if you go into the edit tool, of course you could do this manually. This is really basic right here, but I'm going to show you. If you go into the edit group category, and you see this add group ID, don't worry about any of this or any of that crap. We'll get into that later, especially the layers, but that's for a later time. So as you can see, we have add group ID and then 0. So we can't add a 0. That's kind of pointless. I don't even know why RubRub made that option. However, we can add group 1. So we're going to see, we highlighted this block, and we're going to add it to group 1. Now, a quicker way to do this, especially if you're just starting out, is to go into the Edit tab, hit the swipe button, and then you can edit whatever you want. You can swipe along. See, I can even get the little move trigger in there. And as I said before, move triggers don't move, so you can add it to whatever group you want. It's not going to do crap. And I don't even know if you can affect the opacity on those, but again, that's later. You can't move triggers. Sorry, that was my brother in the background. So right now, hold on one second. Anyway, sorry about that. As you can see, when we highlight multiple blocks that are already in a group, like remember this one's in group 1, and we highlight the entire thing, if it's dark blue like this, that means that not everything you've highlighted is in group 1. So what we would do here is we would just we'd make sure we're on group 1, not group 0, because that's not going to do crap. Not group 2, we don't want it in group 2. But we're just going to add it to group 1, then it'll turn white or gray or whatever you want to call it. And then if you go in, you can select it manually. It's in group 1. You can highlight all 3, look at them. They're all in group 1. So that's pretty standard right there. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. So the first thing I'm going to show you is before you can do anything with the move triggers, you're going to have to know what you want to move. So we want to move this. So we put it in group 1. So down here in the bottom right hand corner, we have a target group ID. Basically, if we go in here, we see add group ID. So these are all in group 1. So, whoops, sorry, wrong button. And so we go in here, again, 0 won't do anything. So we're going to go up and select 1. So now, as you can see, if we exit the move trigger, it turned from a 0 into a 1. So that's telling the game, or whatever, the creator system or the level, when the cube hits this line right here, to move group 1 to whatever we set it to. And of course, we haven't set it to anything. But that's how you do that. The next thing is the move time. This is probably the easiest thing out of all of them to understand. You can do 0.1, which is like a tenth of a second, and then you can do 1 second, or you can go up to 1,000. I think the maximum is, 9,999, but if you need to use that, dear lord, I don't even want to know what you're doing. The standard time when you get in the game, like whenever you go into the editors, is 0.50. And that's like the default for any trigger you use, including like all of these backgrounds and pulses. Well, not pulse, but we'll get into that later. And not any of these. Really, it's just the move and all of these. But sorry, brain fart moment. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. So now the next things we want to do is actually learn how to move them. And for now, let's have this set to a tenth of a second so it like gets out of our way faster. So as you can see, we have move X and move Y, and everything's on 0. So now you got to know your axes, which is pretty standard. X-axis is horizontal, which is this way. I don't know. I got to get it even with the webcam this way. And then Y-axis is vertical, which is this way. So horizontal X-axis is side to side. Y-axis up and down vertically. So we can move it. When we go into the editor system here, we see these little cube-like things, like, you know, the grid coordinates, which you can actually, I'm pretty sure you could turn off. Yeah, there's a show grid option. If you're going to be working with a lot of move triggers, definitely leave this on. I don't even think I've ever turned it off before, to be honest. Because each one of these represents one of these cubes. As you can see, the cube will fit in there perfectly. And this doesn't matter what block you're dealing with, even if it's like a half block or something like that. So basically you see this, and we can move these over in the editor, right? Now if we want to implement that into a move trigger, you got to understand that every one of these cubes, if we were going to, let's start out by moving on the X-axis, every single one of these cubes right here represents 10, or I guess you would just say 10 of these little things. Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that just proved me wrong. But anyways, sorry, I thought it was 10 of those. But for whatever reason, when you go into the editor or whatever, if you, like for example, we're going to move on the X-axis, 10, and this is not 10 blocks, because for every 10 blocks, it only moves over 1. So I guess a cube like this, 10 up or 10 down, it's equal to 10, no matter what. So let's say we wanted to move this, and keep in mind, this is group 1. We wanted to move it 10 along the X-axis, so we wanted this to go from here, dang it, I can't highlight stuff, to here. That's what this move trigger is going to do. And since everything is in group 1, and we told the move trigger to move it 1 block to the left, or 1 block to the right, not the left, if we go play the actual level, as you can see, when it hit the trigger, it took 0.1 seconds to move 10x. Now, let me move this back a little. You can also move negatively as well. So let's say we wanted to do negative 10. That would move this back. Instead of going forward, it would move it backwards. So pretty much the same thing. As you can see, once it hits the trigger, it moves back the desired amount. And when it comes to moving, I'm pretty sure you can go up to 9,000. Okay, you can go to almost 100,000. I didn't feel like reading that number. You can go to 99,000, Ben. Sorry, that was my brother. So anyway, what the heck is that? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I think the TV just turned on ridiculously loudly. What I was gonna say is the exact same thing applies to Y. So like we moved it 10 to the right. We can move it 10 up. So like if we wanted to get under that, see, now we can make ourselves a nice little pathway under there. And we could also move 10 down. So if we wanted to jump over it, we could do the exact same thing. So what we're gonna do now, as you can see, there's all this up there. So let's say we wanted to move it in like a a diagonal pattern, because we went over vertically and horizontally. What we could do is have it go, if we wanted it to go, okay, sorry, this is backwards. If we wanted it to go this way, is it this way? Yeah, it's going to be this way because, sorry, right and left. If we wanted the cube to move this way, we would have it go positive 10, which would move it 10 to the right, and I'm not going to highlight the entire thing. And then we would also have it move up the y-axis 10 blocks, or 1 block technically. So really what that would look like is this. So it'll go from here to here, or it should if we set that up right. Alright, and as you can see, it slid in the correct amount as long as you put it into the move trigger correctly. We could also go downwards, we could go negatively, again, pretty standard. And jump over that there. And, you know, you could get a little fancy with this. Maybe you don't want to go down negative 10, but you want to go up and backwards, you know. Then you would have it slide this way. And you guys get what I'm saying. You know, the possibilities, you know, you could do whatever you want there with that. So that's basically how to horizontal slide. One more thing with these is you don't have to move by 1 block, especially depending on what you want to do. You can move by 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. up to 99,999 with both X and Y, and I'm pretty sure you can do negative 9999. Okay, apparently you can only do that much negatives, but alright. I don't think anybody's going to be moving it that far anyway, that's for sure. That's like over 900 blocks. So, next what we're going to do is you see these things down here. Lock to player X and lock to player Y. What this is going to do is we can lock basically where once our cube hits the trigger telling us to move group 1, it's going to lock it to the x-axis or to the y-axis, where you can do both, and I'll show you all of these. What the locking to x-axis does is basically it moves wherever you move, and I'll show you that right now because I don't know how to explain it. Alright, hold on, sorry. I only had it set up. With this, you want to really change the time. I only had it for 0.10 seconds. So we're going to have that happen for 5 seconds. So it's locked to my cube for 5 seconds. And as you can see, it moves horizontally to the cube. Alright, let's just do this. X-axis is pretty much the same thing. We can do lock to x-axis, and what that does is when the cube moves, it'll go up and down with the cube. So, as you can see, the few times that I jumped there, it moved up and down with the cube. And, of course, if we don't want to die there, we can always do both. We can lock to X and Y for however long we want, which looks like this. Alright, those are pretty much the basics of the move trigger, and as you can see, you can already do a lot of stuff with this. And what I'm going to do, anything basic here, you can create some pretty crazy effects like this. For example, if you wanted to create a shaking effect, and let's apply what we learned here, let's have it set to 0.1 seconds. We're going to have it go from negative 10, not on the x-axis, on the y-axis, let's do negative 10. And then, of course, using the copy and paste, we can just copy and paste. And as you can see, when we copy and paste it, we still have a group 1. So if we open it up, it looks exactly the same. Only this time, we'll do positive 10, let's say. And then that would create a shaking effect if we copied and pasted it like this. And again, you can just go to your edit bar, hit the swipe button, and then just highlight to copy and paste like so. And you see, we could just kind of copy and paste those into that order. And you kind of get that pretty cool. And, okay, yeah, sorry. One thing I forgot to go over. I don't even know if you guys can hear me talking when the music goes, because it's so loud. I'll turn it down later, but one thing is, if you didn't notice, when I hit that, because the block was moving, my cube got propelled up. Oh, excuse me. I kind of forgot about that. Because, like, if a moving block, like your cube is here and a moving block hits you, you will go upward, as long as it's not, like, a death hazard or something. And remember, like, we could easily add this into group 1 or whatever, and, you know, it would do the same thing as everything else and kill me along with it. So, good times there. Now, you can do some pretty cool effects, like, already. Like, you see all the effects levels? Most of those are based off of a mixture of either move or pulse triggers or move or toggle triggers, which I will explain later. Another thing with the move trigger that you might have noticed is all the easing crap. I never use that at all. And really, of course now my phone decides to ring. Alright, 1 minute guys. Alright, sorry about that, phone rang. You might notice in here that there's the easing stuff. I never use any of that. It's really not needed. If you want to, like, experiment with them all, I don't even think I've messed around with them. I probably should, but maybe in a later video. So if you want to mess around with those, you can do that. I guess you can just go ahead and select them. I'm really not sure what the difference is. And in the bottom corner, we have spawn triggered and touch triggered. I'll be honest, I have no idea, like all the easing stuff, what spawn triggered does, but I will find out and show it in a later tutorial. Now, what touch trigger does is you see this line right here. Let's go ahead and do group 1, and we're going to lower this down here, and I'll show you why here in a second. So we have the moving blocks right here. Let's go ahead and get our 3 blocks back. We're going to put those in group 1. If I can get the swipe tool to work. Alright, we're going to add those to group 1. And if we, let's go ahead and set up our trigger here. Let's have it move 2 blocks up in 0.2 seconds. That works. So we go in, play the level, and it moves up like so. Now if we do touch triggered, and I'm going to raise this up. Now you see the blue line right there. That represents that wherever you hit that blue line, the move trigger can be all the way up here. The moment your cube runs across that blue line, it's going to activate the move command, and the block is going to do whatever you tell it to do. Now if we select touch triggered, that blue line goes away. So I'm going to leave that up there for 1 second. And as you can see, it does nothing. That's because it's like touch triggered or whatever. So if we lower it down here, our cube will have to actually run over the trigger itself. Like so. And usually in levels, you'll see that represented because the triggers are obviously invisible. So usually in levels, you would see that represented by a key or something like that. If you've seen any levels like this and you're wondering how they do that. There's even a section in Deadlock to get the first coin where it does something like that, because that's all touch triggered. Because if it was, yes, in Deadlock, the first coin you have to get the key, which is touch triggered, because if it wasn't touch triggered, you wouldn't have to get the key. All you would have to do is fly over that entire vertical block of lines, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, totally legit English there. And that would be really all you'd have to do, and it would be technically a free coin, which I would not complain about, but you know. So what we would do now, I guess, we've pretty much gone over any basic stuff. And in later videos, I will show you some effects for various, like, Sir Punch and Econox and Funny Game. Now, I'm not as good as them, but I can do a couple of effects about that standard, and I can show you, I can break them down for you. Because, hold on, let me see if I have, real fast, A, let me turn down my music, and B, let me go, for example, sorry, this is all my crap, I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can find, I think I have something by, hold on, yeah, this is not looking good. I thought I had a copy of Lonely Travel by Funny Game. But, the level Lonely Thingamabob, Lonely Travel, you go in here and you see some of, like, the move triggers or whatever, and, whoops, my bad. Like, you see this background here? That, like, this circle surrounding us and the background, those were also made with move triggers. And in later videos, I will show you how to do that for sure. I'll probably have my own video on custom backgrounds and stuff like that, because that's really fun to do, and it can go anywhere from, like, really easy, simple backgrounds to complex and really, really well done backgrounds, like this one. And you see, like, I mentioned how, we'll get bumped up if we move right. That's a perfect example of this. So that's really what I wanted to show you. And, of course, you know how I said we could do the shake effect. That's a little bit of that. In fact, you could probably figure out how to do that just from what I showed you in this video if you went and experimented around with it. So if there's anything you want me to, like, actually show you, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to incorporate them into a tutorial of their own, or maybe a separate tutorial. And other than that, I think that about covers it up for move triggers. But before I end the video, I'm going to give you an example of something that I'm working on to show you how it can be incorporated in really any level, even though I just showed you Lonely Travel. So this is a work in progress. This is called Base Night. It's a level I'm decorating for a friend, because you see this is like all his stuff, and he has a layout and he wanted it decorated. So I was like, okay, so, you know, I started working on it, and this is kind of, you can see some of the moving stuff I've done there. And it will give you kind of a really good effect, like there's that shaking effect, and, you know, it's just a pretty cool thing you can really do if you know move triggers. And that's really not that hard to do, it just takes like 5 minutes of your time. So other than that, that about wraps it up for this video, and this is possibly an episode 1 in a new series, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This is to help people who are new to the game, or even just people who want a little bit of advice out, and get you guys creating levels. So I felt like this was a good start, and maybe you guys agree with me, maybe you don't. But thanks for watching, and leave your opinions down in the comments below, please, and recommend what you want me to do for the next video, because this was suggested by a friend at school that I should do moving objects. So that's really about all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something new. This is Jacob, signing out. Peace.